Hey, welcome back to the garage, everyone. Today we're going to install a new radiator in the old 300 SD because the one we have is definitely not cool. All right, we're back. Just to show you what we've got going on, you see the seam here around the top of the radiator. Now I'm using that modern European formula coolant, and it has a little bit of a blue tinge to it. Anyway, you can see where the top seam, this seam where the tank meets the rest of the radiators, it's coming apart at the seams. It's time to go. So also we're gonna restore a little bit of the engine compartment bling. We have some new stickers that we're going to be that I got in from the Ukraine thanks to eBay here a while back, and we'll be adding those as well. All right, up next, let's get busy and unbox our new radiator. All right, my workbench is a little cluttered, so we'll just use the engine as a workbench for right now. You want to be careful now. Radiators are delicate. Come on. You know, I noticed in the installation procedure that it wanted you to remove the oil cooler along with the radiator. I'm not sure why they want you to do that. So I'm going to have to reread that procedure, and I may modify it a little bit. But anyway, we'll see what happens here in the next few minutes. Right now, let's get the car in the air and drain the coolant. We're going to try to recover our coolant and reuse it. It hadn't been in there, but I don't know, maybe 12 months or so. I've got that original container there, connected to a hose and a funnel, and a little piece of wire to hold it up. And then we're going to disconnect we're going to loosen our drain plug right here above the funnel and let that flow in there and capture as much as we can. And then once that's full, we'll let the rest gather into the drain pan. There we go. Look at that. Gonna let that drain on out, and we'll be back here in just a little while. All right, our radiator is done draining. Let's go ahead and disconnect these lower coolant hose clamps, and we'll probably get some residual coolant from the bottom of the radiator out of these hoses, or whatever's left in the hoses. And hopefully we won't have to struggle too much. All right, up next, let's disconnect the transmission coolant lines. All right, I've got a 19 millimeter. You want to tuck that transmission oil line up out of the way. Well, the Mercedes manual says to disconnect these oil lines and remove the oil cooler along with the radiator. And I'll be honest with you, I really don't want to do that. I'm going to disconnect the oil cooler from the radiator. There's a bracket there, and the bolt is a 10 millimeter. So that is a permanently affixed capture nut on the front side, so that doesn't come off. I believe we have disconnected everything we need to down below. let's lower the car and continue the job. Let's loosen this upper bracket. Let's see. You know what? I think I'm gonna loosen that hose next. And we'll remove the overflow. You have two brackets here. These should just lift straight up. And your fan shroud just kind of lifts up, and you can move it. You can move it that way just a little bit to get it out of your way. The oil cooler is free to move around now, so you be mindful of that. You don't want that moving around too much. Got a couple of brackets right here that got to come up. All right, we should be ready to lift this guy out of here. All right, let me dump the remainder of this coolant in my drain pan. All right, so you can see where this coolant has been coming out of this seam up here on the top of the tank. I think we're catching this just in time, really. I'm assuming this is the OEM radiator that came with the car in '84. 37-year-old radiators, well, they're just replace them. When you buy an old car that's like 40 years old or something like that, just put a new radiator in it, okay? You have no idea how long the radiator is going to last. And if it blows, your engine is screwed when you're going down the road. So, all right, let's move on. And I'm just getting this transmission fluid and other contaminants off of the bracket here, so that you might as well clean things up while you can. You want to be careful of your air conditioning condenser right there. You don't want to put any pressure on that and break it. That's something to be cautious of. So we got that cleaned up pretty well down in there. That part back in there is engine oil, I think probably left over from our last oil cooler line job. Yeah, let's hope anyway. let's hope the engine oil cooler is not leaking. I haven't seen any leaks coming from it, and my engine oil level stays at the proper point. So, all right, let's get this new radiator down in its new home. Gently. The fan shroud gets in the way a little bit, as do other things like hoses. Well, I'm just going to have to put the car in the air and figure out what the holdup is. All right, all I had to do was take the oil cooler and simply pick it up and move it just a hair to get the radiator into its proper location. One thing I'm going to do is get down below and make sure that the drain holes line up properly, and then we'll start to reattach everything. After concluding the barbaric task of crawling under a car, I have concluded that this radiator is in the proper location. Let's put it back together. All right, you got these two little rubber pieces that I got off the old radiator. They're just little rubber bushings, and I almost forgot to install them on the new radiator, but it's no big deal. We got it covered here at the garage. We're going to put these hold down brackets in place next. Well, that was easy. Let's put the oil cooler bracket back on. Got a couple of slots here on the radiator and two flanges of steel right there. The capture nut goes on the front of the car. You slide that in there like that, and you're going to lift up on your oil cooler a little bit to slide the bolt through the hole in the cooler so that it engages in the capture nut there. All right, I'm just going to leave that kind of loose for now. All right, let's get the car back in the air and reattach everything down below. All right, we'll go ahead and reattach the bracket that holds the radiator to the oil cooler. Same drill as top side. Yeah, that figures. Start over. All right, so I figured out why they told you in the manual to disconnect the oil cooler lines and remove the oil cooler with the radiator. It was simply to make the job easier. If you loosen these, it's going to add complications because when you set the radiator down here, this bracket is, well, now loose. And this flange here on the side of the radiator needs to slip down inside the bracket. So, but I had to disconnect the top of the radiator, come back down here and manhandle it a little bit and get it back in place. So at this point, I can now get my bolt in there and tighten her up down here. Well, we'll just snug it up like that. He's got these little flanges here for the shroud, and there's the other one right there. Let's do our transmission oil cooler lines next. So the radiator's not bolted down up top. That should not take a whole lot of force. You should just have to snug that transmission line up a little bit and it should be fine. If it leaks, I'll snug it up a little more. All right, we'll do our other transmission line now. The fact that these have a flexible end makes things a lot easier. All right, so that's nice and snug. Let's go ahead and get our lower radiator hose on. However, we do need a clamp. Silly. And we'll do our, I think, what is this, the heater hose? Overflow tank. You know what, I can't remember. Oh well, it's tight anyway. So we got those two tight, transmission oil tight, got the flanges for the shroud in place. All right, let's get this car back down on the ground again. Okay, I've removed the bolt from the bracket down below that connects the oil cooler to the radiator. However, the bracket is in its proper orientation and in the slot on the radiator. However, that gave us enough room to lift the oil cooler and align it so that we could bolt it in place like that. Now we're going to go back underneath and put the other bolt in. So if I had to do this all over again, I would do it the same way. I really do not relish the idea of disconnecting those oil cooler lines from the oil cooler. So fiddling with these brackets that attach the cooler and the radiator is a little fiddly, but I'm okay with it. I had to learn about it a little bit during this process, but I'm okay with it now. So let me go back underneath and put this bolt back in the bracket, and then we'll finish up this radiator job. All right, let's tighten up the bracket here. And we'll put our little hold down brackets on here. And we'll put our other little brackets on the fan shroud. We'll do the stickers last. Let's get our overflow hose. All right, we'll go ahead and tighten down our upper radiator hose next. We might have to loosen that later in case we get an air bubble, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. All right, that's it. Radiator's in. All we got to do now is fill it up with coolant, crank it up, make sure we don't have any air bubbles, make sure our temperature is good to go, and then we'll put our new stickers on. We're going to add the coolant that we recovered. All right, that's most of it actually. I probably need to go to the store and pick up another gallon though. That's what I'm going to do next. Let me go get some more coolant and then we'll fire this thing up. This is plastic, so you got to be careful. Boy, that was hard. All right, so this next sticker says, important, use cover with number 100 only. I have no idea what that means. That's what you call a factory installation right there, folks. All right, we've got stickers going on there. All right, I'm going to put a little more coolant in this engine, and then we're going to fire it up. Glow plugs. Five seconds. Contact. All right, we're going to let her heat up, so we'll be right back. And we went ahead and installed a brand new air conditioning information sticker as well. How special is that? All right, lo and behold, I found one more sticker. Attention, high pressure cooling system. I found the remnants of a piece of this sticker right here next to the upper radiator hose, and I was just able to make out the wording. I didn't actually know that was supposed to be there, but it was in my kit, so I just put that on as well. So that's pretty cool. All right, the engine is coming up to temperature nicely. I don't see any leaks. The engine is running very well indeed. That's all for now, folks. We've got a brand new radiator in our old 300 SD. I'm going to wrap this one up and call it a video. As always, appreciate you guys stopping by the channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to be notified whenever I release a new video, like the one where we installed the brand new Monarch German-made fuel injection nozzles. Yeah, the one I've been telling you about for like months and I haven't done it yet. Stay tuned for that one. You guys take it easy. And remember to enjoy driving your classic Mercedes.